You know, what I was saying is when I ran into Cheryl, I was a guy that really, didn't ask for a lot of help. And I didn't know the broad specs of what I was capable of until I actually became so self-sufficient I had cut off all human contact. And that was after Cheryl. But during Cheryl, she is or was one of the driving forces that taught me to go to somebody else and say, I need help, please help me. And I asked her once, we were talking, I think it was like 1 o'clock or something, and I said, like, why is this important? Why do I have to, like, people let you down, blah, 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 whatever. And she's like, you know what? And I said flat out, I said, it's unmanly. And she said, who taught you that? And I said, I come from good stock. I come from two men in my family that are very self-sufficient, that know their shit and do what they got to do and so on and so forth. And to which she replied, you know what? There's nothing wrong and there's no shame with asking for help. Funny thing was after she left, I became so self-sufficient because a lot of me didn't think I measured up. And that's why when I met Selena, I thought that was completely out of the realm of possibility. Was I ready to let go of the past? At that time, yeah. But I was not myself. I was not in good shape. And I didn't think a slug on the ground would date me for 2 seconds. So, although I am very self-sufficient, I've learned the art, I guess, or the way of accepting somebody's gracious help or offer of support. And I'm in the position right now where I can continue and be headstrong and be like, I'm going to do this myself, blah, blah, blah. But that was the me before. The me now says that if someone were to come to me, i.e. more than likely a family member, and be like, I'll give you an example of something. Ran into Uncle Dave the other day. Said, hey, Uncle Dave, what's going on with you? And he said nothing much, and we talked for a few minutes, and I asked him for some help, and he gave it to me. In fact, that was a couple days running in a row that he did that. And we had some good conversations, and he told me that Shirley had a kid, and things were progressing good with him, and we talked about God for a bit and everything else. And, I'm not sitting here begging or asking or whatever, but here's what I am saying is that if somebody were to offer to give me help without the readily willing and able strings that come with it, or sometimes come with it, I would, without hesitation, accept it very graciously and be thankful for it. Whereas before, I'd be a pig-headed asshole, my ego would take over, and I'd say, go fuck yourself. Or I'd make a big deal about being a macho man and all this other crap. But you know what? I'm not asking. I'm not suggesting. I'm not trying to plant anything in your head. I'm simply saying it's come to the point where if somebody offers me a way to better my situation so that I can grow as a person and as an individual, then absolutely I am going to agree. I am going to take that person up on their offer with the provision that unless they don't want it paid back, they will have it paid back tenfold. And if something happens on that particular day as to where I can't, I will agree to, say, attach an extra $10 or $20 to just sort of soften the blow of not getting that money exactly when they wanted it or needed it. So I guess that's it. Again, I'm not trying to plant something in anybody's motherfucking head or, anything else or whatever. I'm simply saying that through Cheryl and getting her to get me to soften up a little bit and to smarten the fuck up a little bit, although there were some things that I did not agree with, the general gist of this was her getting me in touch a little more with my lighter side of my lighter self, my kinder, calmer, gentler self. And realizing that after I took a break from working with certain people that were very misogynistic, I like those boys a lot. I'm not going to lie. I mean, they're good guys, good group of men. Some of them went to college. Some of them still work security, whatever. But a few of them I'm not too appreciative of, but that's a completely different story. But the point that I'm trying to say is push comes to shove. They're good workers. They're kind people. I hold them no ill will either. But I dumped the attitude that I had because for a while I was that job. That's what defined me. Identity is a societal construct, and everybody saw me as that, and that's who I was. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I got lumped into a category of a guy that wasn't capable of much more than that, because I was looked at as a good worker. I think a few people saw me differently than I saw myself, but no one knew that I was capable of all this, which is why I've been asked by more than one person, up to and including Joseph Sidney Brown, as to whether or not I made a deal with Satan. Rest assured, my soul rests solely in the property in the hands of the gentle hands of Selena, and by proxy that of Jesus Christ. So I say this to you now. I have gotten in touch with my lighter sort of self to the point where I will accept a kind hand or a kind word or anything else with a grain of salt, and I'm actually able to accept a compliment now, which back in the day I was not very good with. And a lot of that has to do with now is because I know my worth, I know who I am, and I know that I deserve it when someone says something to that nature. Sometimes I can still get carried away, but I have a really good group of friends around me that keep me level and keep me on a tight, I'm not going to say leash, I'm just going to say keep me holding it down. What about that? In a good, proper, and humble kind of way. So that's really all I have to say. Have a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Selena, I'll talk to you shortly, baby.